personally entangled in the more crude and distasteful circumstances of battle. And if there were any of us with a secret consciousness that we deceived ourselves, tonight was no time to tear away the veil. Let there be lights and laughter and wine. Tomorrow, if need be, let us be told how the wounded had drowned in the wired shallows, and reckon the toll of that unforgettable exploit and the terrors that were still at work. And so we would not be dragooned into seriousness by these messengers from the peninsula, but rather, with no injury to their feelings, laughed at their croakings and continued to drink. But Harry Penrose was different. He was all eagerness to hear every detail, hideous and heroic. There was one officer present, from the 29th Division, a man about 30, with a tanned, melancholy face and great solemn eyes, which for all the horrors he related, seemed to have something yet more horrible hidden in their depths. Him Harry plied with questions, his reveler's mood flung impatiently aside, and the man seemed ready to tell him things, though from his occasional reservations and sorrowful smile, I knew that he was pitying Harry for his youth, his eagerness, and his ignorance. Around us were the curses of overworked waiters, and the babble of loud conversations, and the smell of spilt beer. There were two officers uproariously drunk, and in the distance pathetic snatches of songs were heard from the struggling singer on the dais. We were in one of the first outposts of the Empire, and halfway to one of her greatest adventures. And this excited youth at my side was the only one of all that throng who was ready to hear the truth of it, and to speak of death. I lay emphasis on this incident, because it well illustrates his attitude towards the war at that time, which too many have now forgotten, and because I then first found the image which alone reflects the many curiosities of his personality. He was like an imaginative, inquisitive child, a child that cherishes a secret gallery of pictures in its mind, and must continually be feeding this storehouse with new pictures of the unknown, that is not content with a vague outline of something that is to come, a dentist or a visit or a doll, but will not rest till the experience is safely put away in its place, a clear, uncompromising picture to be taken down and played with at will. Moreover, he had the fearlessness of a child, but I shall come to that later. And so we came to Mudros, threading a placid way between the deceitful Aegean islands. Harry loved them because they wore so green and inviting an aspect, and again I did not undeceive him and tell him how parched and austere, how barren of comfortable grass and shade he would find them on closer acquaintance. We steamed into Mudros Bay at the end of an unbelievable sunset. In the great harbor were gathered regiments of ships, battleship, cruiser, tramp, transport, and trawler, and as the sun sank into the western hills, the masts and the rigging of all of them were radiant with its last rays, while all their decks and hulls lay already in the soft blue dusk. There is something extraordinarily soothing in the almost imperceptible motion of a big steamer gliding at slow speed to her anchorage. As I leaned over the rail of the boat deck and heard the tiny bugle calls float across from the French or English warships, and watched the miniature crews at work upon their decks, I became aware that Penrose was similarly engaged close at hand, and it seemed to me an opportunity to learn something of the history of this strange young man. Beginning with his delight in the voyage and all the marvelous romance of our surroundings, I led him on to speak of himself. Both his parents had died when he was a boy at school. They had left him enough to go to Oxford upon, without the help of the exhibition he had won, and he had but just completed his second year there when the war broke out. For some mysterious reason, he had immediately enlisted instead of applying for a commission like his friend.